Grace and peace to you, Robert.
Grace and peace to you, Christian.
So I wanted to call you. You know that many accusations were recently made against me
Mhm.
about how I have interacted with and treated the catechumens, specifically accusations of wrathfulness and greed in my dealings. And so I want to ask you about it and make anything right if I've ever wronged you or done anything to offend you or treated you in an unfair way. So, from your memory, I mean, you lived with me for a number of months. Did I ever do anything to you, or even not even necessarily to you, but just in general that offended you?
No,
Did you ever see me do something that was clearly sinful?
no,
Did I ever do anything that was questionable to you that made you like doubt maybe whether I was doing something right?
no. Well, there was this one time where I didn't really see a problem with it, but Nathan did. It was when you bought that fire stove and we were taking it down. Um, you didn't really yell at your wife. Your wife was trying to use a flashlight. It was dark outside, and she wasn't like guiding us with the light. And then you didn't yell at her, but you kind of got a little bit angry. Not, I wouldn't say angry, just kind of corrected her. But I guess Nathan, he was a little confused and he told Luke. And I was never planning to tell Luke. I never saw a problem with it. And Luke said, no, we shouldn't be doing that. He's like, we shouldn't be telling our wives, like, in a way like that you did. I didn't really see a problem with it. I thought this was fine, like, um, but that was it. I mean, that was like the only time. But I didn't see a problem with it. But Luke corrected me saying, no, you shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, and I mean, I did talk to Nathan about this um, a few days ago, and he actually we talked about it, and he didn't actually understand like what was happening and like why I spoke that way, like why I was acting the way I was acting. But I explained it to him, and then he said, "Oh, that makes perfect sense. I mean, then there's no, there's nothing wrong." So, I mean, like you mentioned, we was it a stove or was it a refrigerator?
It was a stove. It was like this,
Okay,
like teal. I think the color was teal. I'm not sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we were, which I mean, it's super heavy. It's solid cast iron, giant wood stove.
Yeah.
I think it took three of us to carry it, maybe four,
It took four of us. Yeah.
four of us, and it was pitch black outside, no light at all. And so I asked my wife to hold the flashlight for us so we could see where we were walking to get it from the trailer to the house. And my wife wasn't paying attention, and she wasn't holding the flashlight for us so that we could see where we were walking. And so, as I'm holding this, humongous, really heavy stove, I'm really straining and struggling with all my strength to carry it. Yeah, it's hard to talk, when you're carrying something really heavy. And so, I told her, hey, get over here, shine the flashlight so we can see where we're going. Um, I told her, I guess, in a stressed, serious voice. Um, but the reason was because, and I explained this to my wife right after we carried it in, that the reason I was kind of harsh in that situation, which I mean everybody is when they're carrying something heavy, but um, if we couldn't see where we were going, we may have tripped and fallen and either broken our ankle, broken our leg. That stove could have fell on one of us and could have really badly injured us. and she would have been partly responsible because she was supposed to be holding the light for us so we could see where we were walking. Um, so that, I explained all that to Nathan, and now he understands, like, oh, okay, that makes perfect sense. Um, and I mean, I didn't, like you said, I mean, I didn't like yell at my wife. I wasn't like really wrathful, or like, I wasn't even really angry necessarily at her. It was just being serious with her because the situation was serious. Um, so yeah, I do want to explain that. Um, and that's the sad thing, is there's various instances like that where somebody may just not really understand the whole situation, and then they tell somebody, and then when they tell somebody, they don't understand because they weren't even there. They're just hearing what's being said, and then people get the wrong conclusions from it. Um, okay, there was that one instance, and of course there was nothing wrong in that instance. When we were talking about you moving from California into my house to come live with us, do you remember what the rent agreement was?
It was 300 a month.
So I told you that when you were living in California before you ever moved to my house.
Yes.
And when you moved into our house, is that what happened? Were you only charged 300 a month?
Yes. And once Maurice and Elisha came, it lowered to 200.
Okay, so I never increased the rent on you.
No.
And did I ever say or make you a promise that you could live in my house for free?
No.
Do you remember the deal that I made with you and some other catechumens?
Once we moved in?
Yeah, like the just a proposal, like an offer I gave you guys.
So you realistically you said you would like, you know, 600, but for one person it's 300. And if two people live in there, it's still 300. But if three people live there, it's 200. So you get the 600 that you want. But you never charge an individual $600.
Yeah.
And I guess the other deal was this came later on. This is when I was back at home in California. It was about the debt deal. You said that it doesn't matter, like your goal is maybe, $20,000 for the house. It's not 20,000 for each individual person. It's just that is the goal. And you said you could do whatever you want. Like you can you could give me a loan as much as you want. It could be 1,000, it could be 5,000, doesn't matter. And the deal was, you pay us back in time, and we get to live there for free, and we can kind of do whatever we want on your property.
Yeah. So, do you think there's anything like questionable or bad
N-
about making a deal like that?
No, I didn't really think about it. I was like, well, um, I didn't really think about it. Um, I did listen to the call, and Nolan and Luke were saying like this is kind of bad asking catechumens. I can understand that a little bit. We're not baptized. You don't know if we're gonna leave or something, but if we did leave and we're not baptized in time, you will still pay us back even if we leave. So I could kind of see that could be a problem, but at the same time, it's not like if we left, you're not gonna pay us back. Um, and I know you'll pay us back because there was that one time where you got that property tax, and um, you did ask for some money. The property was 3,000. I said, Christian, I can only give you 1,500. He said that was fine. I gave you the 1,500 and you paid me back. So there's no reason to doubt that you wouldn't pay me back for the loan I was gonna give you for the debt.
From your understanding, like, do you think there's anything like sinful or wrong about just say any person asking another person to borrow some money?
It's not sinful, um, because you're borrowing it, you're not keeping it. But I can understand that it is a little risky. It is a little risky asking catechumens, but I don't think it's sinful. And you'll still pay it back, whether we're a catechumen or not.
You say it's risky, like what makes it risky?
Because it can give a bad impression, I think. I think it can give a bad impression to the other catechumens, like, does Christian do this with all the catechumens? And um, it is a little risky, I think, because, we're just catechumens, we're like babes in the faith. Um, and we look up to you. But to be honest with you, I really see no problem with it. I don't think it's a sin. And I don't mind giving you guys money. I mean, I've given Luke money. I've given him $100 gift card. I've given Aramis money. I've given like a $50 gift card to Walmart so they could buy food. I don't see the problem. They didn't ask for it. Luke, I think he didn't really want to accept it, but I thought it would be like a good work, like, thank you for feeding me, thank you for inviting me to your house. I want to repay you back.
Yeah. I mean, I would say it's questionable if someone's just asking for money, like, absolutely, like they're just like open-ended, just like, hey, would you give me some money? But it's a completely different thing if somebody's asking you to borrow some money and they tell you about the whole situation and they tell you exactly why they're wanting to borrow some money and that, and you're there and you're like, well, I can see why they want to borrow some money and, maybe I do have extra money. I can lend it to them so they can use it for this good reason or purpose that they're asking for. I just, like, I've never seen any like questionableness or strangeness in that. And like I've never seen anything in the scriptures or the fathers that put any limits or limitations on any people borrowing money from anybody. So like um like you say, maybe somebody thinks it's questionable for a baptized Christian to ask a catechumen to borrow money, but that's not something that you can see in the scriptures or in the fathers. That would just be someone's like personal feeling, like their personal judgment. Um, so that's like in my perspective, like maybe somebody doesn't like it, but you can't really accuse or condemn somebody of doing something sinful if they do that.
Yes, and um, I guess you also told us that, you know, this will help pay off the house, and you said once you do that, you'll be home for a very long time. Like, your house is paid off, and you probably, uh, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you say you probably like stop working for a while so you can work on your property and be around the catechumens a lot more?
Well, of course. I mean, that's really the whole reason I want to pay my house off, so that I can stay home. I can spend all my time with my family, with catechumens, with other brothers. I can be, more dedicated to reading, to prayer, to making videos, studying and everything. It's not, I mean, my motivation is not like greed or anything, just to like have a bunch of money. My, all of my goals are spiritual for the faith. And I've always explained that and said that very openly. to you guys.
Yes. Now, um, the thing I'm confused about, so I'll get into Elisha right now, but you had told Elisha and Nathan months ago before you even told me, um, because I wasn't there. And Nathan brought this up to Luke. And Luke told Nathan that, whatever you make a deal with Christian, it's between you and him. And my problem is that all of a sudden Luke has a problem and he's bringing it up now when he knew about it when Nathan told him. Um, and I, and then then there's Elisha. Supposedly you got angry with Elisha because he told Luke, and I'm not, and so I want to know what happened there. And I was listening to the call, and you said you don't remember, and then you kind of did remember in the end. And to be honest, we know how Elisha is. He can misinterpret things you said, or um, he doesn't have a lot of discernment. Um, so what happened there? Because Elisha does get stories mixed up, and Elisha is like a child. You could kind of trick him. I'm not saying that you tricked him, but like, there was this one time where Nathan told Elisha, "Hey, Elisha, remember that one time we did that one thing?" Elisha's like, "No, we never did that." And Nathan kept saying, "No, we did do it, Elisha." And Elisha said, "Oh yeah, we did do that." And Nathan said, "That never happened, Elisha." So Nathan was just testing Elisha. Um,
Hmm.
so Elisha could get like stories mixed up and very confused. So I just want to
Hmm.
know like what happened there.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll explain it top to bottom, every single detail. Um, I was at home and Elisha had come over. I think it was like a Saturday. Um, that's usually the day I do most of the work, like on the property. And he had come over. He wanted to help me with some stuff, and he, this was I think it was like a month and a half ago, so it was a while ago. And he wanted to talk to me about the deal, and that he's telling me that he told Luke about it, to see what Luke thought. And I just told him that like it's not really a good idea. Like it's not beneficial. Like to talk to Luke about it specifically because at the time Luke had like tons and tons of stuff going on. So like Luke was trying. He's still trying to adopt a daughter, and CPS is being really really difficult with him, like they always are with everybody. And I think that debate thing was going on with Joseph Sweden, so he was like preparing for that, and he was calling with tons and tons of people in the server like he always does. Um, so he had, I mean, Luke is just always really busy. He's always got all this stuff going on, and I just didn't want like Elisha pestering, like annoying Luke with stuff that doesn't really matter, that's not important. And and so like I don't care that I don't care that Luke knows about it. I'm fine that Luke knows about it. Like I told you, catechumens, you can tell anybody, you can tell everybody. I don't care. But it was just specifically when Luke is so busy and has all this stuff going on. And Elisha does this quite. I mean, he's done this to me in the past, where something really important is going on, and there's actually like a lot of stuff going on, and he'll come and ask me like, it's not necessarily a bad question, but he shouldn't be asking it at that moment in that situation
Yeah.
with everything else. So like for instance, when my son died, we had literally just finished burying my son. We were putting my son's dead body in the ground, and just like 30 minutes after, Elisha asked me a question. He said he was confused and didn't understand why Luke had separated from his mother, but I hadn't separated from my mom and dad yet.
Hmm.
Like, can you see how that's like it's not necessarily a bad question or like, you know,
It's not the time.
yeah, it's not the time. And so that's all I was trying to tell Elisha is like, uh, it's not the time or place. Like Luke is not the person really to be concerning with that issue right now.
Yeah.
It was really more a time and place and specific person thing. It wasn't that I really cared about me, that I cared about him, like telling my business or our business to Luke. Um, so that's all that was about. And I wasn't angry. Like I was annoyed because Elisha did this thing that I thought was, kind of stupid. But so maybe you might say like just a slight, like tiny, tiny little bit of anger, but only the anger that is annoyance. So it's not like real anger. And so I mean, I didn't yell at him. I didn't raise my voice at him. I didn't really like speak to him in that. I didn't even speak to him in any harsh kind of way. I was just telling him like, look, Elisha, that's not really something you should be concerning Luke with. Um, so I don't know. I guess the way he communicated that to Luke, because I was a little bit annoyed. And Luke has this way of exaggerating everything. Like he's always a big storyteller, like exaggerating and amplifying all the details. So I don't know how Elisha communicated it to Luke, but I guess Luke took that and ran with it and made it sound like I was just super furious and resentful with Elisha or something.
Yeah. Um, okay, yeah, I understand, but that, do you understand where they're coming a little bit where they're coming from? That does sound suspicious, like it could come off wrong, like you're angry for this. Like you just explained, no, Luke had a lot going on, but um I think a lot of people won't buy that. It does sound a little bit off, but
No, I
that's
totally, I totally get that. I mean, like there's a lot of situations like that where if you're a person on the outside and like you weren't there and like you don't know the details and like you don't know how the person is thinking, like it kind of sounds far fetched. It doesn't like it sounds like you're just kind of like trying to cover your case. But I
yeah.
mean that is the truth. I'm honest, and like you don't have to believe it, but I'm just telling you that's what happened.
I think they should have I think the guys, the older brothers, they should have had a call with all of us, Elisha, me, Ashton and Nathan. I think it would have cleared a lot of things up because there's a lot of different stories going around and even I texted Elisha. When was it? It was what, the day after you left. So I asked Elisha something about you, like did you leave on your own accord, or was he kicked? And he just said, I've been. He said I'll try to be honest as I can. Like he's like I be. Let me try to read the message. He said, well, basically he said that he contradicts himself, and they always had to correct him. So you see how Elisha can mix up stories. He said that he kept contradicting himself, and they kept on trying to correct him. So I'm not sure, if Elisha he misinterpreted like the way you answered him, or you know. But you can now you can ask me another question though.
The and on December 23rd, just a few days ago, we went over to Luke's house to just have a final conversation about everything. And Elisha and Ashton were there, and I asked Elisha and Ashton if they could remember anything about these past, instances, and they both said that they could not remember anything. So I don't understand. Like, I mean, if they've been telling Luke all this stuff, and this is where all these accusations and stuff are coming from, then how is it, that now when they're asked about it, they say, "Oh yeah, I have no idea. Like I can't remember any details." I don't. It's just very strange to me. Um, but either way, like maybe you don't buy my story or something. Maybe you don't buy my side of it, and you're like, yeah, whatever. Um, I mean, I guess the conclusion you would come to is that I do want to keep it a secret from Luke, and I don't want Luke finding out. Um, but then again, like it would be really hard to determine what my motive for doing that is. Like it's almost impossible. Like in a court of law, uh, they have a lot of trouble with this, trying to determine what a person's motive is. Like when somebody kills another person, that's something they try to do in a court of law is like, what's that person's motivation for killing this person? And they can almost never figure it out. They think, they have they have a guess that they usually settle on, but it's never really for sure in a lot of cases. And so even if that is what you want to think about it, that like I wanted to keep this thing secret from Luke, um, yeah, it would really be inconclusive about like why exactly do I want to keep it secret from Luke.
Yeah, and well, it wasn't really a secret because he knew, uh, I guess a couple of months ago when Nathan told him. So, also, I guess I have a question. So, I asked Elisha, did Christian leave on his own? Like, did he say, okay, I'm walking out? Because what you had told me was Luke had basically excommunicated you, and that's when you said, I love you guys, and that's when you left. But Elisha was telling me that no, that you left on your own.
Well, I mean, obviously I stood up and walked out. Like nobody like physically like grabbed me and like shoved me out the door. So yeah, I mean, obviously I left of my own accord, but I left because I was told to get out. I'm not
Yeah.
welcome there anymore.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I mean, Elisha was sitting right there next to me on the couch. So, um, Luke asked me if I wanted to say anything, and I said, I love you all. And he said, no, you don't, very angrily. I mean, the whole time we were there, he was just accusing us of lying constantly. And, and then he said, I mean, this is not word for word, I'm going off memory, but he said, you can just get out. You're not welcome here anymore. Um, you're not welcome in our fellowship. And then I stood up and I said, may the grace and peace of God be with you all. And I walked out the door.
Yeah. Um, and I got, yeah, and that, all right, now I'm gonna get into a couple of things that bothers me. So, I guess it starts off with Ashton. Ashton, supposedly you made him turn into an atheist.
That's what
But,
I'm told.
but I think that's a little ridiculous because I guess so Ashton had told Nathan that he didn't really like his living situation, so he was just gonna go back home. Why would Ashton tell you that you saved him? You saved his soul. Was Ashton lying?
Was Ashton lying about what?
Because once he left, didn't he tell you that you saved him?
Yeah, it was like the last thing he said to me before he got in his car.
And it's just so weird because, I mean, I'm not sure if Ashton was lying because Ashton did return. You know, once I got there, he came to visit me and he was staying at the house and he was even hopping around the property. So it's like if Ashton had like no problem. So I'm not sure. I guess you would have to speak to Ashton about that. I think that's ridiculous. Like, I don't think you turned him into an atheist. That was his own decision. Um, because what he said, and he could have not returned, and he did return to see me, to see you, to see Luke, to see the children. So I don't know too much about that. And okay,
We
so I'm sorry, what?
Well, I was gonna say when he was an atheist, he did come to visit us like 2 or 3 times, and we had big, long conversations with him, obviously, because he drove a long way to see us. And I mean, there were even days. There was like a day one time where Ashton said, "Hey, I think it was a Saturday," and he was like, "Hey, I want to come down. Can we all meet basically like almost the whole day and talk?" And we did. And in all those conversations, he never brought up anything about me. Like he never brought up anything about any of us, making him doubt or stumble or anything. It was all just general like meditation, like inner thoughts that he was having about whether God exists or not. Um, that's it. I mean, we talked for many, many hours, so he had a perfect opportunity on multiple occasions. If I had caused him any issues or doubts, to bring it to my attention, to bring it to anyone else's attention, and he never did until I guess now, which is like a year or more later. So
Yeah. Um. When I all right, this is my next problem. So, no, Luke made it seem like during the call, I don't have to re-listen to it. I could be wrong, but he made it seem like the catechumen house was like this evil place that you were charging people for money. Like we should have lived there for free, which I don't know. I think we should still pay rent. Like, we are like in your house and using your things, your water, your electricity. You should, if I had a house, I'd probably charge somebody rent too. Um, but my problem is that Luke he didn't make me, but he made uh, Maurice and Elisha go to the catechumen house. So Luke kind of, way he promised, he said, "Oh, you guys will get an apartment, you guys will get jobs, and you guys will learn how to drive here, get your license here, all that good stuff." But um, they had no choice but to move into your house. They couldn't get an apartment, and they couldn't get jobs. And I had told Luke, you should get an apartment under your name, and they'll just pay you. He said, yeah, I've been thinking about that, but he never did. So if the catechumen house was such an evil place, why couldn't you just get the apartment under your name? In a way, you did force him to live there. They had no choice but to.
well, and like it was a good situation. Like they weren't being charged a high rent in any way. Like no one would ever call $300 a month a high rent. Um, I mean it's a nice house. Like it doesn't really have that many issues. They had everything they needed: fridge, stove, washer, dryer, good bathroom. I mean, like you got everything, air conditioner, you have everything you need. Um, and I mean, yeah, they didn't have jobs and stuff, but I mean, try to pull that excuse on any landlord, like, oh, well, I don't have a job right now, so I'm not going to pay you rent. Well, they're going to hand you an eviction notice and say it was good knowing you. Like, I'll see you later. Um, and a lot of times people get behind on rent. So like, whether I don't really understand why. I guess a lot of times it's unemployment, like people lose their job or something, and they can't pay their rent for multiple months, and they get behind on their rent. And I've never heard of a landlord just saying, "Oh, forget about it. Don't worry about it." No, they always have to, pay the rent that they missed for however many months. So it's not like I'm not doing anything that's like unjust or unusual or uncommon. Like this is all just regular normal stuff that all humans do.
Yes. And I do have a problem with Luke, you know, saying all that stuff because he made Aiden live with you. Aiden, I guess, I guess this is kind of Aiden's fault too. Aiden said he kind of just went along. He's like, yeah, I'll do it. But once he showed up, he's like, no, I want to live with you, Luke. And he's like, no, you have to live at Christians. And then also, when Nathan came down, you can ask Nathan this, but Nathan told me, no, Luke told him that he should live at Christians. It would be good for him. No, I
Yeah.
don't think Nathan wanted to, but he just kind of said, okay, it would be good for me. He said, like, I have a problem right now, and he just said maybe this would be good for me.
Hmm. Yeah, I remember Nathan did try really hard to live at Luke's, and he was like, I'll just like sleep in my car in your yard or something. Um, but Luke never wanted that to happen. Um, and I mean, I guess, this would all be before Luke's knowledge about me making the offer to you guys about the loan, but it's like really like me just making this offer that you guys could loan me some money, like that just changes everything. Like it makes everything completely evil, makes everything wrong, makes me a terrible person that I'm trying to exploit people, which it's not really trying to exploit. It's just an offer. Like you guys never had to take it. You guys never had to actually do anything. It was just like an idea. Like it's just like if you guys want to, you know, you can.
Yeah,
Like I was never like you guys have to do this. Like I really need you guys to do this. Like come on, come on. Like you guys can do it. Like I was never really forceful or anything. It was
yeah.
just like, hey, like you guys could do this if you want. Like if you're looking for something good to do and you have a lot of extra money and you want to help a guy out, here you go. There's something you can do.
And another thing they brought up was you charged us for food, about like the rice and beans, and I never really saw a problem with that. It was your own personal stash. You have said it before, like, "Oh, this is like, I'm saving this. This is like maybe for emergencies." But you guys could still have some. Just pay me back. It's not meant to be eaten right now. It's just and inside the catechumen house. And I never saw a problem with that. I was like, yeah, we'll eat your rice, we'll eat your beans, we'll eat your personal stash, but we'll just pay you back. And it wasn't like an insane amount of money. It was just we would record what we used. And I even told Elisha too. I was like, we should just buy our own rice and our own beans. He's like, no, it's fine. It's already here. I was like, okay, then that's fine. And I never really saw a problem with that.
Yeah, I don't know. And I don't like. I'm fine with giving you guys food. I mean, we made tons of food for you guys and fed you guys while you were there, and we didn't make you pay for any of that stuff. But
No,
it's
yeah,
just it's just like large quantities. Like if you're gonna use like 100 pounds of rice, like I want you to pay for that. Like I don't want to just give you like hundreds of pounds of something, you know, for free. Like you're grown men. Like you're supposed to be able to support yourselves, to feed yourselves, pay for yourselves. Um, again, it's just like it's my property. I can choose whether or not I want to give it to you for free or whether or not I want to sell it to you. And then you have the freedom to either accept it or not. I mean, like, you guys didn't have to do it. I mean, like you said, you guys could have bought your own rice and beans. It's just something like, hey guys, I already have a bunch here. You can use it if you want. You don't have to use it, but I mean, it makes sense to use it because it's here. You don't have to go to the store or anything. Just make sure you know how much you're using. Um, okay, is this like some really evil, like just really greedy sin?
no, and you didn't, you didn't really, you did charge us for that, but we didn't have to go along with it. But I understood. Elisha's like, no, it's just here. Might as well buy it off of him. We're using his stuff. Just pay him back. And no, you fed us plenty of times, for free. Like you would invite us to your house, feed us dinner. Sometimes you'll give us leftovers. You'd be like, you guys want to eat this? If not, we're gonna just feed it to the chickens. You would give us ham. You would give us like leftover rice and beans. So no, you weren't charging us for everything. It was just that one thing.
Yeah, I mean, so I just don't see how anything I did could like be construed as greed. Like, unless you're somebody that's like trying to find a fault, like you're just trying to find some kind of accusation, like a good lawyer. Like you're a really good lawyer and you're like reviewing a case and you're like, okay, what can we use? There's got to be something here we can get some dirt. We can make some kind of claim. Um, which is basically like basically the only way to be free of ever having any of these accusations made is to like never use money at all, like never do anything with money with anybody. But that's not a requirement. That's not a a commandment of Christianity. Like we're free to have money deals with anybody that we want.
Yeah, and I guess um the last thing they brought up was the whole cow situation. I'm not gonna speak on that because I'm not there. I didn't. I don't know what happened. Um, I guess you would have to ask somebody else. But I guess my problem is, why is this being brought up now? If it was such a problem back then, why'd you guys just keep it to yourself? Why couldn't you just tell Christian?
Yeah. And what like in the call, like they bring all of these things and drop them on me to, I guess, try to make me feel guilty, to try to make me feel like a very evil, horrible person, and to get me to like back into a corner to make me do what they want me to do. And like when you look at it like that from that big picture standpoint, you just take a step back and look at kind of what's going on. That's not really the way somebody that loves you or somebody that's your brother treats you. Like, if you really love somebody, if you really are trying to give somebody the benefit of the doubt, you're trying to treat them fairly, you're trying to treat them justly, like, why are you're going to get three of his best friends, three of you are all going to come together and drop everything he's ever done wrong on him. And any of these things that were wrong have already been fixed and resolved in the past already. Like they're all taken care of, but they're dropping them on him anyway. Like this doesn't look good at all.
No. Yeah.
And that's why I don't understand, like, any of these things, they could have been handled at the time if they were. I mean, they were handled at the time. All these things have already been handled. And so it's like somebody, they got judged in court for murdering somebody, just an extreme example. And they go to jail and they serve their time, everything's worked out. And then, like 30 years later, a judge is bringing them into the court again and trying them for that same murder and saying, we're going to send you to jail again for that murder that you committed. But what are you talking about? Like, I already served my jail time. we already fixed the whole situation.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm confused and I don't really understand why they're doing that, other than just trying to make me look really bad and trying to manipulate me, like control me. But so you would say they call me a wrathful and a greedy person. Would you say that about me? That I'm very wrathful and greedy?
No.
You have seen me get angry.
Yes, that one time with Maurice, but you were given authority to do this. Maurice was causing a lot of problems, a lot of strife, and he had to leave. And Maurice repented, and you were angry. You said, yes, you could stay, Maurice. I'm glad you repented.
Yeah. So you think that was okay? Like that wasn't really a sinful action.
No, it was, Maurice needed to hear that, he wasn't learning his lessons, so you had to tell him to leave. And Maurice repented, and he said, okay, Maurice, you could stay.
Yeah. And that's I mean that's probably one of the few times in my life that I have expressed anger that powerfully. I
Yeah.
would even say that's probably, which I wasn't really that angry. I was just um, being that serious to make Maurice understand the seriousness of his sins. But from the outside, if anybody looking at me and being there, you would say I'm really, really angry. Um, I think that's probably the the greatest instance in my life of anger. Like
Yeah.
there's never been any time in my life where I've looked angrier than that or acted angrier than that in my entire life. Would you call that wrath?
No, not necessarily, no.
What would you call wrath?
Mm,
Like let's say I came in and I was screaming all kinds of insults at Maurice, and maybe I was like grabbing him and like dragging him by his hair and punching him.
yeah,
Like,
that could have been wrath. I think it was like it was like anger, but like righteous anger. It was like a perfect anger. It was like a father teaching his son.
exactly. And that's how I've always felt. Like I felt like I have used anger properly. I've used it in a just way, in a righteous way, to help people, to help those who have been in a lot of sin, or they've done a lot of foolish things. I've never felt any guilt on my conscience about using anger to correct anybody, like Maurice or Elisha or Nathan. And no one has ever expressed that to me. I mean, like Maurice or Elisha or Nathan, if I've ever corrected them about something, they never have ever come to me and said, I was insulted, like I was offended that, you were so like wrathful toward me or something, or like I was afraid of you, or I was like I thought you were gonna attack me or something. Like nobody's ever said anything like that to me.
Yes, and also, um, so I guess Elisha too. Like Elisha didn't leave your house because he was afraid of you. Ashton and Nathan told him to leave because they're saying you have a problem and we need to keep watch on you at all times. So they encouraged him to move to the apartment. Elisha never wanted to move. He said, "No, I want to live at Christians." And I said, "You could come back, but we need to get rid of this problem that you have." Him falling into masturbation. And they tell him like, "You have to come with us. You could return, but you need to live with us so we can keep an eye on you." So Elisha never left because you're just this wrathful, greedy person. No, he wanted to live with you. But, they're like, "No, you can come back, but you need to get rid of this problem."
Yeah, and Elisha has always told me that he has always wanted to live with me. Even, when he was telling me that he was going to move out and move into the apartment with the guys, he said he was really conflicted about it. But he did just want to go with the guys to be with them for the moment, but he said he probably would come back in the future. And since he's lived in the apartment, he has told me repeatedly that he does want to move back into my house. And that is his plan, that once he has completed his agreement with Ashton to live with him for 1 year, that he is going to move back in with me. That's always been his plan.
Yeah.
And he's never told me that he doesn't want to move back in or to live at my property.
Yeah, so I don't want to falsely accuse anybody, but it does seem like the reason this is going down, it seems like, Luke is going down, so he's bringing you down with him, which, would you say that's true, or that's the impression I'm getting?
I mean, I can't know, but that's a reasonable conclusion to draw. I mean, it's not like a crazy speculation.
I understand that you told Luke he can't teach again, and Luke disagreed, but I think it's a little strange coming from him when you're in penance right now. You shouldn't really be talking. You, you were sinning behind everybody's back. You were offering the Eucharist while you were doing this. That's really bad. But I did listen to the call, yeah, but I can kind of see like, okay, if Luke does do his 3-year penance, then yes, he might, yeah, he could come back and teach again. Um, if he really goes through the 3 years, but like it's a little strange the way his attitude is right now, bringing up these problems that were in the past all of a sudden.
It is a little strange, and like, what do you think of his attitude and like the way that he spoke and everything in that call?
Um, mm,
I mean, like you said, he shouldn't even really be teaching, or I mean, he shouldn't be talking, right? That much.
yeah, I guess it is a little prideful, like to say it's like, Luke, you're in penance right now, but you're saying no, in 3 years I will teach again. If you have a problem with that, you should leave. Maybe you should do the 3-year penance, and then we could talk after about this.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it struck me, is like, that's very, like, and especially with how much zeal and force, like he said it, is like, no, I will teach again.
Yeah,
Like,
that really did bother me, and I understand where Nolan and Aramis is coming from. Like, no, we kind of do need Luke. I would say like, yes, this all happened because of Luke, the server. I mean, the channel is Nolan, but Luke does the debates. He's the one recording the calls. He has made videos like the baptism video, the bailing videos. Um, uh, I would say still like yeah, Luke did help a lot. I'm the only reason I was in that server was because of Luke. But um, but I don't think do you think he fully understands like what he did is really evil? Like
It doesn't sound like it. I mean, like in the call, you hear him talk about it. They say the only bad things Luke did was abuse himself and his wife. Like when they talked about it, that's what they said. So they don't, which I've explained it to Nolan and Aramis very clearly, but I guess they don't agree with me, like about all the different wrongs. And like Luke has never apologized to me and my wife and family for betraying us, for lying to us for all these years, for offering Eucharist to us, for taking Eucharist with us, for leading prayers, um, just all these things, giving us the holy kiss and everything. Like all these things are really bad, and I mean, we're very hurt and offended by it. And so Luke does need our forgiveness. Luke needs to ask for our forgiveness, for everybody's forgiveness. And he hasn't done that. So he either doesn't care or like he just doesn't see it. Like he just doesn't want to accept, that he has seriously offended everybody.
yeah, and another thing is I think what he brought up in the call like it was like a low blow about how like like about the slave thing. It's like, really, you're gonna bring that up? That's so ridiculous. Um, Another thing that he brought up was how you don't mind confessing your sins, but you told him not to tell your father that you used to be homosexual. I think that's like a low blow. Like, I mean, if I was a homosexual in the past, I wouldn't want my father to know either. You know, maybe if my father did come to the faith, I would probably tell him.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's just like a low blow. Like, why would you even bring that up?
And my question is, has anybody in our fellowship confessed all of their sins to their parents?
No, not that I know of. No.
And here's another question. Luke just told all of us that the whole time he's been married, he's been watching pornography and masturbating. Has he confessed that to his father or his mother?
No, not that I know of. No.
So what's the point? Like why even say it?
Yeah, it was a strange thing to bring up. I was like,
But to me, the point of bringing it up just seems to be to find any negative or bad thing you can possibly say about me.
yeah,
Like that really seems to be the point. Like that's like the only reason to say such a thing. It's like, well, this is something bad. Like you could be perfect. You could be better if this wasn't true. Like, okay. But I mean, it's not a sin. Like there's no commandment, there's no requirement that I tell my father all of my sins or about a specific sin. There's like that's I'm not in any sin for doing that. Like,
yeah,
but I mean, he did want to make me out to be a coward, but I am gonna tell my dad about all my homosexuality and stuff. So just so that, I don't know, whatever you want to accuse me of, you can't accuse me of it anymore. I mean, the real reason is because, like my dad has said my whole life, if any of us were ever homosexuals, then I'm going to kill you. I'm not afraid of dying. My dad can kill me. But I don't want my dad to be guilty of murder. Obviously. I don't want my dad to kill anybody. That's really the only reason. But I mean, if somebody has an issue with it, Fine. I'll tell my dad if he kills me, then I'll go to heaven.
Yeah.
And then, you can say, oh my goodness, I made this huge accusation against Christian that he was a coward because he didn't tell his dad he was homosexual. And then because I did that, he went and told his dad he was a homosexual, and guess what? His dad killed him. Wow. I feel really good about myself, don't I? like, what's the point? I don't understand.
Yeah, yeah.
But I just want to know if I've done anything bad, anything evil, and if I have, I never want to do it again, and I want to make it right. Especially if I've wronged a particular person by saying something or by doing something to them, then I want to make that right. I don't care if they're a Christian, if they're a catechumen, if they're an atheist. I don't care who they are. I don't want anybody to have any offenses or problems with me.
Yeah. Well,
Do Mhm.
I was just thinking like these last couple of days, and I don't like saying this, but it is kind of true though. Like I feel like all of this was a huge mistake. I don't think I don't think any of us should have eh, well, not any of us, but like you guys, well, you have said like we shouldn't teach. That's what I'm trying to say. Like this was like a mistake. None of us, I guess the older brothers should have never done this in the first place. Shouldn't maybe start a server or a YouTube channel and just help some people, but this could all crumble very soon. I think they should have waited a little bit more until like at least 50 years old or something.
Yes, are you aware of the fact that I have said exactly that?
Yeah. I it's just it's like wow, this is a all of this is a huge mistake. Some of us might be more mature than others, but this is like a complete joke. Like this is like one big joke. It's like if we're like LARPers or something, you know. If other
Hmm.
people found this out online, they would make fun of us. Like look at how unserious you guys are.
Yes, that's exactly what I think. Anybody looking at this would just be like, these guys are kids. What in the world? They're so foolish. Like, what are they doing? Um, and that's what I have always told Nolan and Luke. Um, I've always raised my concerns with them for many years that we should not be doing anything publicly. Like, none of us should be teaching. I've told them that none of us, including myself, don't have the right experience, the right wisdom, and the right maturity to be teaching publicly, either on YouTube, on the internet, in any way, and to be handling, other people. Um, and their response to me has always been, well, somebody needs to do it. There's not anybody else doing it right now, and we're basically just forced to do it. Like we have to do it. And I've always said, no, 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 no. Like everything that we know is on the internet. It's for free. Anybody can learn and read anything that we know. It's available to every human being. If they search for it, they can find it. They don't they don't need us to get in their ear or to get in their face and tell them about it. Um, so it just seems to be more like a pride, I've always said it's the foolishness of youth. That's what I've always told them is you have the foolishness of youth in your heart. You think, you're really important. You think the world needs you. You're the savior of the world. People really need you to come in and help them and save them. And they don't. I mean, it's helpful. It's helpful if you have somebody else to help you, and kind of share the truth with you and everything that's already studied it. But if you're doing it on a big scale, if you're doing it really publicly, and you don't have a lot of wisdom and a lot of good character yet, you're going to run into a lot of problems like this.
Yes, and but I'm still very thankful for you guys. You know, I'm very thankful I met you guys and stuff. But I can only speak for myself. I found the fathers before I even found the channel. Um, so people do seek for this stuff. People do look for it, and I found it. Um, before I even started talking to you guys. So there's people, yes, people out there can find this stuff. Um, and it just made me realize too, because I thought about, maybe like maybe once I'm 30, I'll be baptized by then. I'll have the Eucharist, and maybe I can start saying a couple of things here and there. But this made me realize, no, it's gonna take like 30 years, if not 40 years of training
Hmm.
before I can even say anything.
And see that's always the minimum I even put. Like whenever they ask me, like, well, when Christian, like, when can we teach? And I would always tell them what Jesus said: no master or no disciple is greater than his master. I said Jesus didn't teach anything until he was 30 years old. You think you're greater than him? You think any man can be greater than Jesus Christ?
Yeah,
I said nobody should ever have the arrogance and the pride to begin teaching before they're 30 years old. That's the absolute minimum. Like, you're the perfect human being. You have, been trained your entire life to be a Christian, to be a great teacher. You've had good character and good virtue your whole life. That's like the best case scenario. But like, that never happens. So you're going to need to wait until well after you're 30, probably 40, 50, just
well,
depending on who you are.
Well, doesn't it have a solid constitution? It talks about the age. It says 50, right?
I think so.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, I think the perfect age is 50. But
Yeah, it's a very good ripe age.
also Nathan has pointed this out. Like, I guess you can really trust somebody if their kids are all grown up. Like you guys have kids. They're very well behaved. They could be grow up in the faith. But if the kids fall away, then there's probably a problem um within the household. But if your kids are old already, they're in their 20s, they're grown up, they're in the faith, I think this person could be reliable.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of Paul's requirements. And so it seems like when Paul says that whoever's going to be a teacher, that his children have to be steadfast in the faith, they can't have fallen away from the faith. It seems to be assumed that those children are adults, they're grown up.
Yeah.
Because obviously, if your kids are 5, 6, 9 years old, under your authority, in your house, they're not going to have fallen away from the faith. They're under your authority.
Yeah.
The only way for your children to fall away from the faith is when they are adults, when they make their own decisions, when they're on their own, away from you. And so that just seems to, prove that if you're going to be a teacher, you have to be an older person.
Yeah.
And this is what I've always said, and I think, instances like this are just proving it. The scriptures say it, the fathers say it. It's not like it's a mystery or something that you should be mature and wise and old before you teach. Um, but I hope, I hope Nolan and Luke especially can humble themselves and come to that realization and stop trying to, save the world, I guess.
Yes.
Because like you say, you found the fathers before you knew about us, and that's the same with me. I knew about the fathers for quite a while before I ever met anybody else. Lots of people know about the fathers. A lot of people that come to us, um, that come into like the newcomer and everything, they have already known about the fathers and been reading the fathers. It's one of the reasons they are interested in us.
Yeah.
So we're not like God's necessary instrument that just we have to do it no matter what, no matter how foolish or immature or bad we are. We just have to do it. It's not true. But thank you, Robert, for you know talking about all this stuff. And I'm sorry we have to talk about all this stuff. It seems like a waste of time, but it's just to give everybody the truth and let them decide for themselves what they want to do. Do you have anything else you want to say?
No, I think that was basically it.
Okay. Always remember, I'm here for you. I love you.